Welcome back to the Protest Sports NFL Network. It's your boy Tone, aka Zach. We're back in a video for I get to glory to God. For God's right now, God's open doors. Anyway, people in the Lord's name, permit today's video. I'm here on the NFL. We're going to talk about the AFC North today. As we're going to talk about the Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, and also the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll talk about all those teams in today's video and how do I think each team's season is going to go. And how do these teams look and their schedule and all that good jazz, and we'll get right into it. So start with the Bengals. The Bengals are interesting, right? So we'll get to I'm not gonna give you like a record prediction, but I'm gonna just give you guys their biggest pickups of the off season. I'm feeling looking forward to their toughest games on the schedule. Let's do that. So Bengals, their biggest acquisition is obviously trading the number 10 pick overall to pick up Dexter Lawrence from the New York Football Giants and give him a 1 year, $28 million extension or something like that. $30 million extension, whatever. But they did give an extension. I think it was a 1 year extension for a nice little piece of change. But they did trade a number 10 overall pick in order to acquire Dexter Lawrence. They did pick up Jonathan Allen. They picked up Boye Mafe. They picked up a few players, especially on defense. Let's see. So they traded for they trade Dexter Lawrence. They picked up Kyle Duggar. That's what that was. They picked up Brian Cook as well. That's who picked up Brian Cook. Okay. Yeah. So they did lose Trey Hendrickson though. They did lose Geno Stone as well. So they lost a couple of players that were kind of important to them, but specifically Trey Hendrickson. But they did pick up some other guys to help with the defense. Shamar Stewart will be going in year 2. So their defense should be better over. Needless to say. Picked up Jonathan Allen, former Washington Commander and also former Minnesota Vikings player. And they did pick up especially Dexter Lawrence. So brought some former NFC East guys in there to bring some toughness to that defense in Cincinnati. So the defense should be better. We got Joe Burrow and Lamar and T. Higgins, all that good jazz. I think they have no effect there. So Chase Brown as well. The offensive line should be better. They are primed to bounce back and make the playoffs, right? That's basically what I'm trying to say here. But let's look at their schedule. Let's look at the toughest games of the season. And where do I think they're a playoff team, yes or no? So we'll look at the schedule real quick. They do play the Bucks week 1. Texans will be a tough game week 2. Steelers are no slouch in week 3. We'll play the Jaguars. They got a layup in week 5 versus the Dolphins. They got week 6 bye, it seems like. They have week 6 bye. They'll play a Ravens coming off their bye week on the road. That sounds disgusting. They play the Titans. Should be a layup there. And they play the Falcons. That should be a game that you should win in London. Can't guarantee nothing. They play my favorite team, the Washington Commanders, on Monday Night Football. That's been a tough game. I think the Commanders will win their toughest opponents because of Jaden Daniels and the threat that he possesses as a runner and as a passer. And I don't think they have a corner to check Terry McLaurin. I'm sorry. Cam Taylor-Britt saw firsthand he got deep fried. So I know it's 2 years ago. I don't give a crap. I don't think they have a corner that can check Terry McLaurin. But I do think their defense is better. So that should be a fun game at Northwest Stadium. I'll be attending. So one of their toughest games will be the Commanders game. The Ravens game week 7 is going to be disgustingly tough. The week 2 game versus the Texans is going to be disgustingly tough as well. Maybe not. They play the Colts at home. Panthers. They play some teams that are decent, but they don't play any crazy teams after week 11 versus the Commanders. So that last stretch of games, they should go on a hot streak. They do play the Ravens at home on New Year's Eve, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, another top for another day. That should be a fun game. The Cincinnati Bengals, I think, should be a playoff team. Would I pick them to win the division? I don't think so. But they should make the playoffs, right? I think the Browns gonna be the seller. They don't know who their quarterback is between Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson. They did get better though, in a lot of positions, but they did trade their best player away in Myles Garrett. Drafted Denzel Boston, drafted Casey Concepcion. Quinton Junkins is coming off an ACL tear, I believe. The Browns are in a tough spot, if I would say so myself. They're in a weird position right now. I don't know. They're weird. They're finishing last in this division. That's over with. Are any of these games winnable? The Titans game is winnable, I believe. The Raiders game is winnable. They win one division game every year. And it's usually to the Steelers. So I think the game they played Steelers in week 4. Yet the Browns probably win 4. Like, I'm gonna just keep it a bean. They probably go 4-13. They're not a good football team. I don't do record predictions, but I only see 4 winnable games on the schedule. So clear Steelers real quick. Steelers are interesting. They brought back Aaron Rodgers. They traded for Michael Pittman Jr. They drafted Jeremy Bernard. Steelers all-season pickups. Let's look at Steelers real quick. But those are moves I knew off the top of my head. They brought in Patrick Graham as a defensive coordinator. Of course, they brought in Mike McCarthy as their head coach after Mike Tomlin called it quits. They picked up Jamel Dean. That's a good pickup. They picked up Jaquan Brisker as well, former Penn State safety. Shout out my Ninny line. Shout out them boys, man. Gave Chris Broswell a nice little piece of change. They extended Nate Herbrig. They gave Denzel Washington a 5-year extension. What in the heck? They really did that. Alex Silmar left the fridge. He did lose Kevin Austin III. He did lose Kenneth Gainwell. But I do think this team's overall better than they were last year, especially offensively. We'll see what that second round pick and Caleb Johnson can bring to the table for the Steelers. Second round pick of 2025. We'll see what he brings to the table. Still got Jalen Warren as well, so it'll be a fun team to watch. Their toughest game on their schedule, I believe, will be the Bengals in week 3 is a tough game to play. Texans are tough. Their defense is insane. And both Ravens games are always going to be tough, right? But out in the Broncos, so those are the toughest game on their schedule. But they play a lot of okay teams. Like this isn't Murder's Row. The Steelers are going to be a borderline playoff team. I think can win in between 9 and 10 games. I can't say they will make the playoffs or miss the playoffs. But yeah, I believe the Steelers are going to either finish second or third in this division, either in front or behind the Bengals. I do think the division favorite will be the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens, they have done a lot of interesting things. Now, they have one issue. They have not given Lamar Jackson his extension yet. That is a problem. They need to fix that ASAP. But outside of that, they did some other good things. So, the Ravens are wild. So we know about the whole Max Crosby thing. We don't want to talk about that anymore. They trolled the Raiders and said something wrong with his knee. They knew he tore his meniscus, whatever. Never talked about it, never did. But they did ink Trey Henderson to a 4-year, $12 million deal. They also added Calais Campbell and drafted Zion Young in the second round to help their pass rush. They did pick up the youngest offensive coordinator I've ever heard of at 29 years old, being Declan Doyle. They drafted former Penn State offensive lineman Vega Oene, as well as John Simpson. So they want to retool their offensive line. So that's what they pretty much did. They didn't pick up any crazy receivers or nothing like that. They did lose DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Noy and Joseph Noboom free agency. And they did lose Isaiah Likely as well, which is another big loss. They lost him to the Giants. This Ravens team is interesting. I think their defense is going to be really, really good under Jesse Minter, their new head coach. And Declan Doyle was a big question mark from the offensive coordinator. But I would trust that coaching staff more than I trust Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor made the playoffs for 3 years, and I'm sick of Zach Taylor. So that's why I had the Ravens over with Bengals. It's not necessarily talent, it's the coaching staff. Let's look at the Ravens schedule though. Just don't like murderers row either. Got the Colts, Saints, Cowboys. The Cowboys are gonna be a tough team, but they're not unbeatable. Titans, Falcons. They got a week 6 bye if they play the Bengals. So both teams come off a bye week. They should win that game. Bills are gonna be tough. That's a tough game. Chargers are gonna be tough. Jaguars should be tough. That's a tough stretch. And they play Texans. That's a tough 4-game stretch. Then you got division games back to back, 3 straight weeks against all winnable opponents, I believe. So the Browns are a winnable game, the Bengals are a winnable game, and the Ravens the Steelers are a winnable game. So this team should win the division. I'm gonna stand on that. I think the Ravens are the best team in the AFC South as of today. The Bengals can definitely change my mind. The Steelers can even change my mind. But I think right now, I think the Ravens had the best quarterback by this much of a margin, and I think they had the best team. So that's how I'm gonna go and go with the Ravens win the division. I'm gonna go with the Bengals finish second. Both those teams to make the playoffs. The Steelers just missing the playoffs, and then the Browns being a 3-4 win team, and probably around the number 1 pick in the draft. But that's gonna do it for this video. That is my AFC North preview. AFC North fans, comment your thoughts on this video. Do you think I was right? Do you think I'm tweaking? Do you think the Bengals win the division? You think the Steelers win the division? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like, comment, subscribe. When I roll to 20, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, like button, share button. Comment your thoughts on today's video. Please subscribe to the PSN Commanders Network. That's my Washington Commanders centric YouTube channel. I told you this is the Washington Commanders. If you're a Commanders fan. Also, I have a channel called A Lot, which I like the tone. That's my reaction channel. I react to loyalty tests and people get cheated on. And finally, you can subscribe to A Lot of Fashion channel for all your streetwear wants and needs as well. Have a good one. Love you guys. Come back every day for another NFL-centric topic video like this one. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and blessings.